You being here, Gary. I know you've tried to get out of this for the last couple of years and try to find some, a succession, some new leadership coming in. But we appreciate you being here.
Well, we keep working at it.
I know
Someday
you
we'll
do.
get it right.
I know.
Per se, we have no problems with the budget. We had our meeting, we went over it. What we're gonna do is, because the tour guides won't be part of our budget this year, we will open probably on Sundays from 1 to 3 like the others with a volunteer staff. Presently, I think we have 6 events already scheduled for the upcoming rest of this year, coming year. We do have a booking that's going to happen with a celebration of life for a person that's someone that had passed in their family. That's coming up. The bike and barbecue is going to be back there again this year. Very successful fundraiser for us. They may be one of our liquor permitted uses. We're looking into it right now. As soon as the Parks and Rec get back to me on the logistics of how it's going to be handled.
Right.
The event, we have our big cleanup day coming on April 13th, so if all of you are sitting around doing nothing and want to get in shape, we have a lot of work. The corn crib is going to be turned into a tool exhibit. We have all the tools in there. It just needs to be cleaned and shelves put in and everything labeled. The back farm equipment, we now have the paperwork on each one of them, and they are going to be all labeled. And the house, our interim curator, Josh, is working his butt off getting everything labeled and into the computer. So we'll see how that works. As far as the rebranding goes, the Friends have gotten some grant money for helping us with the rebranding. We had our first rebranding meeting last week, and we'll see how that goes. We got some good news that the signs on 161 belong to the state, and they are going to replace them within the next 6 to 8 weeks at no charge to the town.
Great.
So those signs will be up there. I imagine they'll be the brown ones, the attraction signs, so those will be going up. And we're looking forward to another warm season and getting people up there. We hope with the new change and the new exhibits and things in the house that we'll be drawing more people. We want to somehow, we haven't figured out how to do it yet, is if people want to make appointments and come to see the house, we can do that. And we want to open ourselves up again to the middle school in some fashion. We did last year we didn't have a program scheduled for this year because some conflicts that happened with the school and everything as far as logistics of getting the kids up there, but we hope to have that again next year.
Good.
And we hope to maybe get some of the elementary schools and the middle school over there at some point so that they can learn history from the house itself and the history of the town. So.
Terrific. One thing that you mentioned, and we've eliminated, in my budget presentation to this commission, is your ask was to continue, and somehow this has evolved into a paid situation where you had tour guides that were being paid.
Because we were open almost 4 days a week.
Right.
And that's why it was there.
Right. So with everything the way it is, I'm hoping that we have volunteers to do that kind of work as we do in other houses. And so I eliminated that cost, and that brought the budget downward a bit. So that's what that is. Everything else has remained the same. You still have payments to a curator. And he, as you said, he's busy.
He's been very busy.
Jumping into the job. Was vacated by Joni. Other questions on this budget? It's pretty a lot of these budgets, especially the commission budgets, are pretty self-explanatory and straight up. Good. Good. Gary, anything else?
No, we're fine. Thank you very
Appreciate
much
it.
for your time and effort. We
Appreciate your
it.
talent, your energy that you bring, and your long-term commitment to this as with Maggie and so many others that.
The only one that was on the board when I started.
Oh, I know.
Was Roseanne.
Oh, we know. We've heard that story before, and we're happy that she's here.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Do we put Parks and Rec at the very end?
No, we just actually did.
Isn't this Read Across America Day, that we should have the library?
Well, we're gonna go in order. Was it Read Across America Day?
Or was that
Was it?
yesterday?
Maybe it was the other day. It was Dr.
this week,
Seuss's
yeah.
birthday. Yeah, I guess.
Well, we're still fresh.
So I saw this at Rotary. I like it. It's a nice fresh look. I like it.
I spared you the phone call.
You look like
I'm here, so I'll touch base.
it's kind of a first selectman kind of a haircut there, Dave.
And I'm getting a shave tomorrow. I'll go back to my my crew cut if that's the.
Wait, who was the front man for Prodigy? That just, he had
Oh,
the-
yeah.
That might be a good look.
For what? Oh.
A band, right?
Yeah,
This
Prodigy, the guy with the.
fellow just passed
Yeah,
away.
you don't want me.
His spiked hair.
Yeah.
Very clean
I was
cut.
thinking
I
about
like this. So, Dave, you have a comprehensive department and a lot of moving pieces. We all know that. We are thankful for your long service in the town and what you've done to evolve Parks and Rec to what it is today. It's amazing what we can boast about in this town, and it's a four-season department.
Absolutely.
It may have been a beach department and a cut the ball field department. It's truly a four-season department. So walk us through your budget, some of the key pieces, if you would, and
Sure.
try to anticipate some of our questions, and then we'll fill in the blanks.
So we're halfway through our first go with the Beach Enterprise Fund. So if you remember last year, we took out approximately $200,000 from my operating budget and moved it over to the Beach Enterprise Fund. This started July 1st of this past year, and I can tell you revenues were pretty good for July and August, better than we had done in past years. The weather was, obviously, we're so weather driven, but
Right.
the weather was really beneficial for us in July and August. So moving forward, if you know, most of our expenditures are in July and August, and most of our revenues, or 60% of our revenues, are done in May and June. So I'll have a better understanding for you June 30 of how our enterprise fund has made out. It's hard to kind of predict that. I can tell you that I'm very comfortable with moving forward with what we did as far as last year compared to future years and where we'll be coming in June 30th with the new enterprise fund. So if you remember, all the funds related to the beaches were going into this enterprise fund, and then I broke out all of the expenses and the staffing for that. So we're halfway through that. I'm pretty optimistic that we're gonna be at least a break even, or have a little bit of money left over in that enterprise fund. So that's I just wanted to relay that's a big portion of it, or one of the portion of the multi-moving parts of our budget. So
Yeah, and it's part of that. If I could just interrupt or insert some of the conversation we had when we were talking about this is we were hoping to turn a profit, because what we'd like to do is see more and more of the actual, even capital expenses of the beach. Next time you need a lifeguard chair, that it doesn't, or a beach sand sweeper or cleaner thing, then maybe we can build that up so it really truly runs on its own without even capital expenses. That's a far-reaching goal, but setting this up that even just the operational expenses are paying for itself through beach stickers, that it's not taxpayer-driven, but beach pass driven.
Right.
That's a good start.
Right. It forces
Right.
our commission to look at their fees and where we are for
The
fee
costs.
and what we're doing. So I can tell you the commission has set the fees for McCook for next year, a slight increase in the resident. It's been since 2014, since any increase towards the resident. So the resident stickers went from 35 to 40, a small increase there. And then the second vehicle also went up that $5. And then also the non-resident town employee used to get a pretty good discount for. They raised those fees up $15 so that they're taking a better look at where we are as far as our revenues are concerned, and looking at it's been 5 years since an increase. Is that appropriate? Not appropriate? Do we do it every 5 years? So it'd be something that once we have this hard data, come June 30, I'll have a better idea of moving forward. Unfortunately, it takes that long to
Right.
kind of figure out where we're at and,
Sure.
and what we really do need to set for fees and look at our expenses a little bit harder. So.
Thank you.
But I think we're on mark for that. So we did
Okay.
have a small, some small increase on that. If you have any other questions, everything else is pretty much standard. All our union employees are based on that. I have seven union employees and plus myself as far as full-time employees are concerned, so.
Terrific. We obviously talked about the cost of wages. This is 2 years' worth when we see that 4.29.
Correct.
And the program coordinators and all that. So you understand, we talked about that in the first meeting, and some of you may not have been here, but we're wrapping 2 years up because we've settled this coming year's already. So it's 2 years' worth in there. So there's nothing in the wage contingency. It's all baked right into the budgets this year. If our state legislature increases minimum wage, I don't think they'll do it with a snap. I think it will be long-term. But obviously, if they do it with a snap, then this budget would be in jeopardy, or at least your beach budget would be.
Beach budget, right, and then some seasonal help, some seasonal maintainer help, because that'll bump, I think we're at 10.10 now as far as minimum wage. If that does go to 15, I know there's talk of it
Yeah.
going to 15. If they did that, hopefully it'd be a gradual scale like they did before. They did that probably 4 or 5 years ago. I think they did it over a 3-year period where they did that, and that would definitely affect the enterprise. The enterprise fund, because it's lifeguards, gate attendants that are all right now. Most of them are making below that $15 an hour mark.
Terrific. Questions? Anyone? Questions? Again, Dave presents a pretty clean budget and been at this for a little while. Your supervisor out on the road is Jason.
Jason House, yes.
He's doing a fabulous job. You want to talk about him?
He's
a little
doing
bit?
great. Yeah, my staff is. I can't thank those guys or praise those guys enough for the work that they do. And if we went from 4 full-time maintainers, now we're down to 3. We got cut from maintainer last year, and the guys have. They take great pride in their work.
Yeah.
Not only Jason, but my other 2 maintainers, my whole staff actually. Really. I think we are. I hear it a lot that people want their fields to look like the fields at East Lyme, and we're very lucky to have the 3 beaches that we have, and just the amenities that we have here in the community. We're very lucky, and I think our guys take a great deal of pride in that, and I think it shows. Our beach revenues are up. We hear compliments all the time regarding the beaches and the parks and stuff. So our guys are doing a tremendous job out in the field.
I have a question about the
Yes, ma'am.
vendors.
The
So-
vendors?
Yes.
Okay.
So I see that we have the Pretz Park vendor, and then I had heard that there might be a possibility of vendors down at Cheney Park.
Yes, we do have that as well. We did go out to bid on that last year, or ask for proposals. We didn't get anything back for that. So we have 3 vendor proposals that are available for people. One is at Cheney, one that covers McCook and the hole in the wall, and then one that covers Pretz Park or Brybrook. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So these are going out for bid,
Correct.
and then these would go into your special fund, whatever you've got for revenue from that.
Right, everything except for the Brybrook one would not go into the enterprise fund. The Brybrook one would go into the operating budget, because it's not beach related. So the other two would go into the, into the beach enterprise fund. Yep, correct.
And you don't have any bidders yet?
No, the ad will go mid-May, mid-March. We're doing the first week in April, and then it goes before the Park and Rec Commission at their April meeting.
And do the vendors take care of their own trash?
Yes,
They haul it out with them?
yes, correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Actually, it's more the vendor.
Yeah,
This-
we've only had one vendor bid on it for the last 20-something years,
On which?
for pretty much, for McCook.
Oh,
For McCook, yeah, we've had double vendor proposals before for Brybrook, but nothing for, only one vendor has submitted for McCook the past 20
Is
years.
McCook and Hole in the Wall a separate?
No, same bid. Same bid.
Okay.
Dave, you raised the special event fee for the tent and pavilion last year. 'Cause
Correct.
were there any people that were concerned about that increase in rate at all?
We did not, and that's another reason that we need to look at our fees a little bit, because that was undervalued for a long time. And so that was brought forward, and we raised it significantly, but it's still, I think, a pretty good deal, yeah. And and so we had no decrease in the amount of usage, and no complaints regarding the fees. So
Terrific. Now, you did lose a maintainer last year.
correct.
So has there been, what's the fallout from that?
Well, we haven't had much of it because we lost that maintainer, but then in the budget
picked
was
up.
an additional seasonal.
Right.
So it's really important for us for April, from that April 1st coming up until mid-November, that we have seasonal help there. So that has worked out very good. Now, down the road, how are we going to make out with the new park here? And I should mention that the new park here has been absolutely gorgeous on Penn and Main. In what a I can't praise the committee enough. It looks, every time I drive down Penn Ave and look at that, I'm like, should have been done 50 years ago, right, or whatever. But it looks absolutely gorgeous. So that's picked up. So that's that's an additional thing that we didn't have before. And then I haven't had this discussion yet, but I would imagine with the new public safety complex that would fall under our jurisdiction to cut that.
It's fairly low maintenance.
It's a few hours. There's some grass cutting. It's not like unless you don't want us to cut it. If you don't want us to cut it, we'll certainly not take that on board. But so the more which is okay. We get it, and just.
It's a prime example. I brought it up, and you not played nicely into it, but the conversation continued that we're cutting all over, but asking more of our people, and that's a prime example. When I talk to citizens, taxpayers, other people, all the other departments, we're all doing more with less. And when we say with less, okay, yeah, but budgets go up. Yeah, but we have less people doing it. And that's a prime example. We went from 4 to 3. Yes, we increased a part-timer, but we're asking for more parks to be cut, more buildings to be maintained, et cetera. So it's a fine example. Other questions or comments?
I just had a question
Yes,
on
sir.
on that beach enterprise fund.
Yep.
So are those figures already included in this budget, and it's just a separate breakout to show the balance, the revenues, I guess the expenses associated with those revenues?
Right. That's so the 2018.
Those are actual.
Those are actual, correct. The 2019 is what I'm proposing. 2019-20 is what I'm projecting. Right, correct.
But those revenue, those expenses, they're already accommodated in
cor-
421, 422 somewhere?
No.
They're
not.
they're in the enterprise fund.
So
Yeah.
they're totally separate?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
correct.
So they are, in addition to that?
Yes,
That was my
correct.
question, okay.
So there's no lifeguards in your
And then-
primary budget?
That is correct. It is in the
Yeah.
beach
So
enterprise.
it's a totally
Right.
separate?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. So you'll see a pretty good decrease from part-time seasonal labor
yeah.
from actual of 2018 to what I'm requesting.
Right.
So that's where
Right.
that's
Sure.
where those monies shifted to the enterprise fund in that account.
Do you have money in the enterprise fund now that started from, when did this start, in July?
July 1st, yeah. We raised about $64,000 in July and August for revenue.
Okay,
And then, like I mentioned before, so our big is May and June will be our big, April, May, and June will be our big
That's when people buy
push
their
when buy
passes
their
for next
Right,
year.
yeah.
passes, yeah. So we're kind of working backwards a little bit in that.
So you hope to
our
get your
ex-
130 there to cover your tour. Got it.
Right, and that's kind of where we were at last year. So I looked at what we had done April, May, and June of last year. We were right at about 134,000, so we're gonna be right at that. I think we'll be really close to that.
Difficult
To
the
that
way the
mark.
season
It-
goes
it's-
and the way we cut our fiscal year right in the middle of summer for you to do it any other way.
Right.
I mean, that held us up a whole year trying to figure out how to do
Right,
this. I guess this is how we'll do it. You're just going to run into a deficit, and eventually it just catches up, and Anna will masterfully figure that out.
I
But-
think we've gotten better
yeah.
too. If it's a poor weather day, we send
Yeah.
people home, a little bit more and that kind of thing. So it
Okay.
forces us to take a stronger look too at how we're expending our money. Yeah.
All good? Thank you, Dave. Thank you
Right.
for
Just
that.
wait.
Yeah.
Hey, our programs are great. I'd hate to not, we always come and talk about the park settings and stuff, and so we do have the special revenue fund. Just, it's our 10th year of the special revenue fund. It's given us so much flexibility, so I just want to thank you for, that was July 1st of 2010 that we started that special revenue fund, and no programming expenses, all revenues and expenses have come out of that, and it's really been a win-win, I think, for the community. We've been able to do a ton of special events. We now carry the Celebrate East Lyme. We're running that. We're running the light parade. It was the 30th anniversary of the light parade, and it gives us all that flexibility. So I just, my program staff doesn't get a lot of credit a lot of times, I think, but just the special events, we're doing 15 concerts this summer at the park. We have 8 in the band shell and 7 on the beach. So we go Wednesday and Friday nights, and we're able to do it through a lot of the special revenue fund. A lot of special events are handled through that. So I just, real quickly, I don't want to, take
No,
up too much of your time and stuff.
No,
but
it's
we're
great.
really, that has given us
It's
a
made a
tremendous
difference,
amount of
yeah.
flexibility and be able to offer a lot of really cool stuff. So thank you for your support.
Dave, you'll come back later and give us an accounting. I think typically we try to have you do that annually on the special
Sure,
revenue
right, correct.
account.
Yep.
We ask for that report,
Yep.
but we'll
Yep.
wait for your fiscal year to end
Yep.
and then get that report from you. But that's great. 10th
Absolutely.
anniversary coming up.
Yeah, yeah. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it goes by quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So.
Wow.
All right. Thank you for your time. Yep.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Much appreciated. Okay, library's on the chopping block. Oh no, did I say that wrong?
Can't even get up here yet.
Sir?
Okay, now you're on the chop. No.
Yeah.
Lisa Timothy, as you know, is our librarian extraordinaire. I think she's supported by many library
Board members.
board members
One of whom
tonight.
wants to say everything afterwards.
You can introduce them if you want while Larry's passing this out.
Do you want me to? Larry,
Sure.
of course, is a member of our board, and John McCarris is our treasurer.
Thank
Dave
you.
Jacobs is our vice president, and Loretta Nicolini is our assistant treasurer.
Loretta?
So,
Great. Great. Well, you have a complicated budget, and it doesn't necessarily always follow the same format as some of the other departments and commissions. So, Lisa, I'll kind of just let you start
okay. Why don't I do
your
that?
presentation.
Sure. You're right, my budget is a little more complicated. It's 11 pages. We have 3 different funding streams, the town and 2 private endowments. So I'm constantly juggling a lot of numbers and whatnot. The library itself is a complicated entity. Most people don't understand the complete role that we play in the community. So I just wanted to give a brief update of where we've been for the past year. In the 16 years that I've been here, we've never been at such a crossroads at the library, and that situation brings with it both good and bad news. The good news is that we're quickly transforming into a 21st century entity. In the past year alone, we've done away with VHS tapes. Remember those? They're gone. And we have...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
They just weren't going out enough to justify the shelf space that they were taking. We did take the local history ones and digitize them and move them to DVD.
All right.
We didn't just totally throw away the good stuff. We have moved that. And we've also this year introduced streaming downloadable video. And our use of online resources such as ebooks, e-audiobooks, and e-magazines is up dramatically, more than 100 extra books a month over just the past year. So we're kind of coming into the 21st century in that way. We're also experiencing staff turnover. We had 2 full-time employees replaced this year, and we expect 1 or 2 in the next year. So that's 4 people within 2 years. For a library, that's huge. We're lucky if we have 1 job opening every 5 or 6 years. With that, we've hired a new staff with a lot of different, more 21st century job skills in terms of being able to do online things and digital things, as well as continuing to do the traditional things. We do still primarily deal in books and print. That's mostly what we do. The new services that I'm talking about are being added in addition to, not in place of, what we've always offered. So we're growing and changing pretty rapidly, both at the same time. We're changing and growing. The bad news is that it's been a really tough and complicated 14 months for the library budget. Between the state reduction in money to the town last December and the health insurance issues this year, we're operating with $88,000 less than we thought we would be, or some of that we've had to give back and whatnot. $88,000 is a lot of money. It's most of the increases we've had over the past 2 years, so we've had to juggle a little bit to try to just stay on our feet here. In the past year, we're seeing an erosion of our services. We're currently closed on Sundays to save money to try to get us through the health insurance situation between now and July. And we've also cut our book budget in half for the rest of this fiscal year, as we're in a waiting pattern to see what happens with the health insurance. In addition to the problem with the health insurance and the book budget this year, since 2015, the town has cut our book budget and materials budget in half. And our programming and AV video monies have been cut by 1/3 in the same amount of time. Our 30-year-old carpet is torn beyond repair in some parts, and we are completely out of space in the library. We are weeding books and weeding VHS tapes and things like that, trying to find corners to put things into. So we have some exciting things going on, but we're also very rapidly outgrowing what we have. We've kept up well for the past few years. And the handout that you were given proves that. It's just not my opinion that we're doing less with more. That shows you.
Cheers.
Mr. Nickerson, when we met,
More with less.
asked me to look at what other libraries comparable to towns of ours in the state do. So I've put together 2 pages of data on how we compare to the 7 or 8 libraries that are in towns that are roughly our size in the state of Connecticut. And where's my notes here? We provide more computers and host a bigger collection in a smaller space than most of the towns that are our size. We have an above average circulation per capita, and circulation per hour when we're open. Our full-time staff works an above average number of hours per week at an average wage, with less money available than average for their professional development. And the town spends less per capita on its library and has a slightly smaller total operating budget than towns its size. So we don't do too badly. And some of this data shows that we could be doing better. I didn't make this sheet to spin it in the modern terms of politics and whatnot. We don't circulate as many audiobooks for some reason, and our YA collection on circulation is not what it could be. I suspect because our high school library is so good that we don't attract that age group as much as we should. So that's not too much information for you to absorb tonight, but
This is
there.
a wonderful thing that you've given us.
I'm
I
glad.
really appreciate it. I wish we had this conversation 5 years ago. It's great. What a great resource.
Yeah,
I
the
know
state-
this took you a lot of time to put together, no doubt.
A few hours, but-
yeah.
but-
But it's really, I appreciate it. And I know when we start comparing, it's tough to compare because
Yeah, it's apples and
comparing
oranges,
against
but-
Madison, which is Madison.
Yeah,
and
Madison,
Waterford.
Avon, and Wilton.